Hey everybody, Psychosaurus is here and welcome back to Age of Empires Online. And today, well, I want to talk about the Celtic advisor sets. Just like I did the Egyptians and Greeks in my previous videos. We're gonna go through Celts and I'm gonna recommend you some advisor sets you might want to try. And let's start with first sets, which is gonna be just slightly different depending on the golden age advisor you're gonna go for and the unit you're gonna go for. So first one, we got the blood leather for golden age, Pamphilos for silver age, or maybe you might even go with Percas without knows, but with Gold Raiders I would say Pamphilos is better option. They already are pretty fast. And then any H1, H2, whichever you prefer. So what this is about, you got World Traders, they're fast units, they just do a lot of damage. You swarm the enemies, destroy everything you can, mainly focus on the buildings. That works just fine. Cavalry can work as well, like I said. The speed is very nice, World Traders are already really fast, so you might not need it that much, but it can be okay to use as well. Now, yeah, like I said, there are gonna be differences in what we're gonna do here, so Golden Age advisors. I'm mentioning the World Traders right now, so later we'll go through the others as well. But yeah, why this one? So pretty much this is the best buff you're gonna get on your World Traders. Additional crit chance and health. Eh, it's the crit chance that's really important because 25%, that's a lot. Every fourth attack it's just a critical hit. Now imagine you have this swarm of wolf traders attacking a group of units, they charge, and charge already does a lot of damage. If you don't know, charge attack deals 3 times the normal damage. So if you add a chance to crit, which doubles the damage, oh boy, 6 times the damage, that's a lot of damage. So definitely brand the blood leather works a lot well with full traders. And yeah, Pamphilus, unfortunately, Wool Traders cannot charge against buildings, but if you hit them with a splash, it can do some nice additional damage, but it's just so you can get through the walls as fast as possible, because you know, usually walls have a lot of health, 20,000 health, could be 30,000, sometimes even more. So yeah, Pamphilus is the better option in my opinion, just so you can get through the walls faster. Now alternatively, and we're gonna stick to the infantry units, you could go with champions. And at this point I would suggest rather going this set. Again, H1, H2, it's up to your preference. So King Brenos for H4. Why is this one good? Champions are immune to snare and attack and move 15% faster. Now, obviously, attack rate means more damage output. Movement speed. Champions are really slow units. If you take a look at the basic movement speed, which we can, the base movement speed is 5. And remember, you also get the tech, the Furor Celtica for additional movement speed, so you'll end up with 5.5 movement speed. So really slow unit. Now imagine you increase it by additional 15%. All of a sudden, they have some nice speed. It's already over 6, close to 7, so that's a pretty good movement speed if you ask me. Most of the infantry units start at 6, so getting additional movement speed on your champions and getting it over 6, really good. And now they are also immune to snare, and snare can be somewhat annoying since we are talking about some heavy unit that costs 2 pop instead of 1, so getting snared can be somewhat annoying. So overall, really good buffs for your champions. It's not like that huge, like let's say with the Christians from Brand, but it's definitely helping a lot with champions. Now why do I prefer Vercasellanos more than Pamphilos? Well, with champions, you usually don't have the issues with walls because you can just hit the small nodes, and because of the splash from the champion attack is applied to the wall segments connected by the node, you do a lot more damage to the walls. So you do a lot of damage to walls in general with champions. So no need to really improve your damage. Champions already do brutal damage. It's really high for a unit. So yeah, just further improving their movement speed so they run faster. Like I said, the speed is probably the weakest part about champion. So getting additional movement speed helps a lot. More speed, get there faster, crush the enemies, and guess what? What's probably the biggest weakness of champions? Enemy ranged units, or maybe even siege. So get closer to the ranged units sooner, right? Get there faster. This helps a lot. This is why I like to prefer Mercasilanos. Omphalos is an option, but do you really need that additional damage against buildings? I don't think so. But it's fine to use it. And now third one, and this is not a legendary one, this is General Akikorios, or whatever you pronounce this. Longswordsmen have 30% more health, and that's a lot of health, and with this advisor, oh boy. With the right gear, you can just get almost, or maybe even over 1000 health with your longswords, and getting 1000 health on each of those units, they get really good armor against melee infantry, and their champion upgrade also grants them some additional pierce armor. So yeah, they armored unit with 1000 health, that's just really good. And for the H3, I think Vercastellanos is fine, since they are not naturally fast as flow traders. But Pamphilos is also good, so this one I would leave to your preference. I think Pamphilos works better, since longswords don't have that high damage as champions, and they don't have the splash. So taking out the walls again would be bigger issue. So Pamphilos is my more preferred advisor here. Just take out the buildings faster. Yeah. So yeah, these would be the typical advisors for infantry. With Akikorios, longswordsmen are pretty viable strategy as well. I tried them a couple of times. Really good. Not gonna lie, they are pretty strong units. Okay, let's move on to set 2, and this is gonna be focused around commentaries. Now with commentaries, you have obviously two choices: the horsemen and the carpentons. You can either go both or only one of those. So let's say you go both, then for H3, H1, H2 again is your preference. For H3, there is the crafty Faria Cavalrus, who lowers their train time by 30%. 30% is a lot, and when we take a look at the training times of those units, Horseman has 19 seconds base, Carpenter is 25 seconds base. That's a lot of time you can save here. Oh boy, this is like almost 6 seconds, but more like 5 when we include the gear. And this is what, like 6 7 seconds. Yeah, that's a lot of time you can save here. So yeah, definitely great way to save you some time when producing your horsemen and carpenters, and most likely you will be replacing your horsemen often. So works really nicely there. With commentaries you get additional damage for those units, health, and even bonus versus buildings. So they become, both horsemen and carpenters become really strong against buildings and generally good with additional health and damage. So really nice advisor for those two units. If you're gonna focus more on the carpenters, let's say, then you might wanna pick Sohrab instead of instead of the train time for those two units. Why additional damage? You might not want to lose too many carpenters, and carpenters are pretty hard to lose if you know how to micro them properly. Plus their base pierce armor is already pretty huge. You might not be losing them that often, and the additional bonus damage really works nicely with this additional bonus damage. Remember, stats multiply, so that's a lot of damage. If this is 160, then this is another 80. So with both of these, your carpenters will do 2.4 times bonus versus buildings. Pretty huge number. And now if you combine it with the sacrifice from the ogre, yeah, even more damage against buildings. All of a sudden, the carpenters do a lot of damage, which can be insane. And like I said, you will need to micro them a little bit. They do a lot of damage, so melee units might have it tougher against them. Ranged units, if they start hitting you, the pierce armor helps your carpenters to survive longer, so it shouldn't hurt you that much. So if you don't want Zohrab, then Cosmos is there as well to help you keep the distance away from your carpenters, so melee units don't reach you. Also pretty good option. I don't think, maybe honestly for us, if you wanna just get the golden age and get the access to carpenters. Otherwise with carpenters I don't think you really need anything else. Okay, now let's say we're gonna focus more on the horseman. Now what options do you have? Now obviously there's Hathor if you want the additional damage against siege and ranged units. Cavalry usually does not need this that much unless it's some quest with a lot of range and siege, but you don't really need this. And if you need something against ranged and siege, usually you have access to wall traders, so better choice to go with those than with the horsemen in my opinion. Cassivellanos is there, just improve their movement speed, become really fast, so why not? Cavalus is still an option if you just wanna go with either of those, doesn't matter. And yeah, Lohras is also a really nice choice, just to make them more protected from the infantry. But I might want to suggest rather Sophia because the Celtic horseman costs a lot of food. It's a lot of food, 90 food per horseman, and if you are losing them at all time, you're gonna lose them. Like, they might have a lot of health, but they have no armor, as you can see, so you might be losing them quite often. So yeah, getting more food might be a better option if you combine it with something like Thought or just cheaper cavalry in general can work nicely. I don't really think you want the cheaper cavalry because doing it only for horsemen does not seem right to me. So Thought might be a better option in my opinion. Other than that, I think that's all I have to say to this one. So let's move on. Something that might not be that good, or rather might be good, but it might be harder to make it work. So yeah, H4 Ambiorix the Brave with H3 Solhrab, or maybe Cosmas, whichever you prefer. And H2 you might pick Guyana if you like to. This is gonna be focused on the bowman. The reason you might want this is because with Ambiorix your bowman will do a lot of damage. You might pick some slingers as well, but slingers late game they just don't have that great range. So it might be harder to make them work later, so bowman will be better choice here. So what Ambiorix does: slingers and bowmen deal 3 times bonus damage when dealing a critical strike instead of 2 times. So as you can see, adding additional 100% damage to your critical hit, which is a lot. Now what's the issue here? You need a critical hit, so you need to get some good critical hit chance to make this really work and make this worth. Obviously, there is the divine torque that gives your bowmen and slingers a lot of crit chance, which like 46% if you have a good one. So 46% crit chance, really nice crit chance. You crit a lot, so all of a sudden, yeah, you can do a lot of damage with this. Well, what's the problem with that? Well, you need to spend a lot of money and time in Moe. That's the problem, because that piece of gear, unless you see it somewhere on the global market or some player selling it, you just need to get it from Moe, and that means a lot of money to be spent. And now remember, I don't know, do I have Moe here? You need to buy the level 5 chest, which, oh, not level 5, level 10, a higher level. So you need to buy a level 10 chest, and remember, you need to spend like almost 700,000 to get the legendary item to drop on average. And when you spend 700,000, it does not guarantee that it's gonna be that item you want. So you might have to spend even more. So obviously, a lot of money needed to be spent. That's not good. Okay, so this build might not be easy to make it work if you don't have the torque. And yeah, even with the bow and arrows, if you get it, I think the arrows, the highest ones are the legendary craftable, and those give like 8-9% crit chance. The bow, I don't know what's like the highest crit, but if you pick the legendary bow with crit chance, that gives like 3%. Yeah, you can end up with like 12%. And if we combine it with Ambiorix, if you have watched my video explaining how I calculate the damage from crit, then you know that I take the crit chance and that's pretty much the average damage increase I'm getting. With Ambiorix, this damage increase is actually double because it's adding 200% instead of 100%. So if we double that with 12%, it's like you're getting now 24%. So the damage increase from this one will be something like 10%. Not bad. It's not bad when you compare it to some other advisors that increase damage in H4. Like Agamemnon just gives you 4%. 10% is pretty okay damage. But if you want to get the really good value, you just need to get the higher crit. And yeah, Sohrab, so you do a lot of damage to enemy buildings, otherwise Kusmas to keep the enemy units away from your bowmen. And remember, bowmen have pretty slow animation. Like, yeah, that lasts forever. So it might not be bad to add Cosmas, then move them back a little bit, then make them attack again. And Guyana here can help, obviously. They already have really good range, but with Guyana and Cosmos, yeah, you just keep the distance, no problem. Now, did I have something else to mention? Yeah, I need to mention this combo. Shahriar plus Divitiacus. So, if you don't remember from my Egyptian sets, then Shahriar is pretty much an advisor that gives you free sheep, and it makes your villagers gather food faster from the herdables. And Divitiacus gives you free sacred deer every 15 seconds, as you can see, per sacred grove, and sacred groves are 50% cheaper. So you can definitely afford multiple sacred groves easily with the discount. Then you build them, you get a free sacred deer, which you can use as a herdable. And herdables are pretty good food source early in the quest, but they lose to farms once you get all the upgrades. But Shahya helps you to compensate for that. So with this combo, you definitely don't have to even start farming and just focus on the herdables. And this might actually end up much cheaper than I initially thought. With this, you just build like 6 sacred groves, and before you gather all the food from all those sacred deer, you get another one. And now with Shahya also giving you free sheep, you just can use him to gather food from the sheep. So again, yeah, another food source. So yeah, this is just infinite generator of food for you that you can gather from. This can work definitely nicely. All I have problem with here is, yeah, it's just a lot of investment into this, and you need to build those sacred groves early to get this working. I don't know, it's just a lot of food. You might save some wood from not buying the sacred deer. How often do you guys actually go for a sacred deer? That's what I wonder. Yeah, it's definitely a nice combo. Maybe I should try it sometimes and see how it works. I feel like if I don't pick something else, it just doesn't feel like worth trying it to me. But maybe it's better than I think. Okay, and one more thing I want to mention, which I might try in the near future. That's like Queen Katimandua. I was thinking for in H3, and I don't have the advisor here, so I might have to get him later, which will be Arbiter, but for now, Mehrab and something H4. I think I will need the Agamemnon to get. I thought I had anyone killed, but I don't. And this is gonna be about trying just druids. And this might not be that good, but I wanna try it. So basically, what's going on here? Queen Katimandua, druids and ogres train in 40% less time and have 40% more health, which is already good. And druids are priest units, and priest units don't take additional damage from enemies in legendary quests because there are no multipliers against priests, so that already means they can take some beating in legendary quests with multipliers. So that can work nicely there. And I would rather have Arbitab than Mehrab because I want to just spawn as many druids as possible, and Arbitab makes it easier by lowering the cost and train time. So a lot of druids for me, and I don't really feel like I need the additional heal for druids. Maybe if I added some augurs to convert some units if I had to, but I think Arbitab should be working fine. I might try this on some easier quests and see how it works out. But when I saw the stats of the druids, it was like 400 health with the gear I wanted to use. So it's pretty okay health when you consider they are not taking additional damage. But you need to combine them, put some nice gear on them, yeah, and then utilize their heal, get the additional damage for them. Maybe it might not end up working out well, but I'll see if I can make it work on some easier quest and how it goes there and see how it runs. Okay, and I think last one, the naming it. You can just check out my previous two videos, it's pretty much the same. So Tutmos H1 if you want a lot of wood, if you're planning to go for fishing boats, Windbar is there. Horus H2, otherwise if you want a lot of dogs, you just grab King Nanos. For H3 it's either Battleship Pip or Pitas or Amon, whichever you prefer. In this case, depends. Do you want the long range swan ships? Do you want the beefy swan ships with a lot of health, or do you just want to make them cheaper and faster with Pitas? That's up to you. Here and H4 obviously Typhon for the damage, maximizing the damage output. Okay, that's my recommended Celtic advisor sets. Tell me what do you think? Did I miss some specific advisors? I think I said what I had to. Try out all the infantry units, like Wool Traders, Champions, and Longswordsmen, all 3 units. Whichever you pick, I think you will not go wrong with it. Longswords might need some additional gear to make it work, but they should be fine. Yeah, all of those units need some good gear, but I feel like if you just got longswords with the various sword and some good cloth and pick the Vercingetorix Warpaint or whatever it's called, the legendary one for pure damage, for all 3, yeah, it's just champions are natural, really strong units. Wool traders are really good units if you can keep producing them. Longswords, they're fine as well, and if you combine them with druids, even better. Yeah, if you feel like trying the carpenters or horsemen or both, yeah, you have some choices for H3 with common warriors H4, whichever you prefer. So yeah, tell me what you think. Did I miss something? Leave a comment. If you like this, please press the like button, share this video so as many people see this as possible. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, please. Pretty please. I'm trying my best here. Oh boy. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.